Hello, my sweethearts. I hope we are all well, truly and wholly, and feeling really good. I've got my window open today, so you may hear a little bit of outside noise and all of that jazz. So what I want to talk to you about today is how to start a conversation or communicate effectively with your partner. If you are going through periods of disagreement, if you're going through periods of sadness, suffering, pain, with them. And hi, Crystal, sweetheart. Oh, hi, everybody. Oh, I'm glad everybody's here so quickly. Hi. So, you know what? I will, since we just had a lot of people join us so quickly, I'll just reiterate what it is that I'm speaking about this evening. And whether it is applicable to you or not, I hope it's not, but it's good information to have, of course, whenever you need it. Now, there we go. That I should get some comments and everything. Good evening, Chaka, sweetheart. Good evening. Hi. Hi, everybody. So, like I was mentioning just a second ago, tonight's live is all about how to communicate effectively when you are, when you're going through a little bit of a stormy patch with your partner, your wife or your husband, your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or even just your partner in general, right? And often we find that so many individuals have a lot of trouble communicating with each other. Hi, Virgin Sweetheart. Hi, everybody. Now, because we have a lot of trouble communicating with each other, we tend to just get really frustrated and feel really hopeless. But, that call, that pull to be with that person is still really, really strong. And so many people find it just, confusion and difficulty, and we don't know what to do. So I'm going to run through with you my 13 steps on how to communicate effectively when you are going through some difficulty with your partner. Now, I also have some do's and don'ts as well with this, so I hope this kind of helps you. Now, first things first is I'm going to go through the do's and don'ts, okay? Because I think this is really, really important. One of the first, we'll go through the do's, okay? So what you want to do before you have even, sorry, car alarm there. Well, I can't apologize for somebody else's car alarm. But some of the first things you want to do, and I've made my notes, hi Susan, sweetheart, is you want to ensure that you are always speaking to your partner the way you want to be spoken to, okay? Always ensure you're doing that. So, nobody likes it when you get all heated up and your voices are raised, shit gets thrown about and everything. Like, that's not productive. That's not productive communication, and it doesn't get your point across. Shouting and screaming at each other doesn't do anything except for make you even more angry, right? So, always speak to your partner the way you want to be spoken to, all right? This will ensure that you will have a calm communication going through, because everybody wants to be spoken to calmly with kindness and compassion. The next do that I would mention is to keep your goals in mind, right? Oftentimes when we are, having an argument or a disagreement with our partner, we kind of get lost in the, well, you do this, you do that. I do this, I don't know that, and so forth, and it's a back and forth. But we kind of got to keep the goal in mind. Like, are we simply just venting, or are we actually trying to come to a conclusion, right? What is the goal of this conversation? What are you trying to gain out of it? What's the purpose? Okay, so always keep your goals in mind when you are going into this, so that it kind of keeps you focused on track, so you don't get lost in the back and forth, he said, she said, or he said, or she said, she said, anything like that. Now, the last do you want to kind of do is do make an effort to see this through, okay? If your partner is an individual that you love, that, they are truly in your heart and you desire them, you got to make the effort to kind of keep going and come to a conclusion, because otherwise, how many individuals can go weeks or months of poor communication and just being in sorry states of just misery, not speaking to each other, not doing anything like that. And it's really painful when you truly love this individual because you don't really want that. So when you are going through this conversation, do your best to make an effort to see it through at the time. Joseph, if you're not loved by your partner, but you love them, it's a lost cause and a painful life. Sometimes you got to just walk away. That's true, Joseph. That is absolutely true. However, this is that is for every individual to, of course, assess their relationship as to whether they want. But we're going to actually go through that in the 13 steps. So, but very, very good, sweetie. Okay, so now let's go through some don'ts. Okay, this is just some quick don'ts. Don't fight, all right? That's not the purpose of communication. Fighting is headstrong combat, trying to overpower one or the other. Fighting isn't going to do shit. Fighting is two individuals trying to find dominance over each other. It will not work, okay? Communication is about understanding, and it's about developing. It's not about fighting, okay? So we want to try not to fight, because again, it leads to only more pain, suffering, and confusion. Second, don't lie, okay? This is so important. Don't lie. You need to be truly honest with yourself and truly honest with your partner about the way you are feeling, right? And don't try to sugarcoat things. That's not to say you don't speak eloquently, or you don't speak with understanding, but don't sugarcoat your feelings. Don't lead your partner down a false sense of, where how many people are like, how do you feel? And you're like, I'm fine, but really you're hurting inside. Don't do that, right? Say, I'm hurting inside. I'm hurting because, and so forth, right? So always, when you're going into communication, and especially with somebody who has your heart, you always want to be very truthful, all right? Because only when you base your communications on truth can you move forward. Any communications based on a lie will stay stagnant, because a lie has to be continually fed, whereas the truth sets you free. Okay, so always be truthful in everything you say. And lastly, you do not ever want to put up with physical or verbal abuse. Okay? That is an absolute no-no. That is not something you put up. If somebody is verbally abusing you, you stop that conversation and you walk away from that. Okay? If they are physically abusing you, you get your backside out. Okay? And you go. All right? It is in no way up to you to stay in a relationship where somebody is being severely verbally or physically abusive to you. Okay, so you have to stand your ground and just be like, no, I am not worth this abuse and I am leaving. All right, so that is those are my do's and don'ts. So let's get on to the 13 steps. All right, so let's get on to these 13 steps. And please, by all means, if you have any comments or queries that you want to put in here, or things that you've experienced, then that have worked for you, then please do comment and share it as well, right? Share it with all that are watching. Okay, so step number 1, all right? The first few steps are actually focused on yourself, all right? Because in order to communicate effectively, you actually need to know what it is you want to communicate in the first place. So step number 1 is, what is actually your heart's desire? Okay, you really got to figure this one out. And what do I mean by your heart's desire? Basically, what is it that you want? Do you truly want this relationship? All right? And I want you to sit with yourself, and I want you to look back at the history of your relationship. And I just want you to think, is this something I really want? Because at the end of the day, if you are trying to salvage something that you truly actually don't desire, it is only going to lead to more force being put on you. And you are much more... you're going to be much more successful by simply freeing yourself from the relationship. So first, you got to realize what your heart's desire is. Now, when you have realized what your heart's desire is, and if your heart's desire is this person that is in front of you, because you love them, they support you, they're everything that you want, you're simply just going through a period of miscommunication, then that's fine. Keep that. Because we have to remind ourselves of this. How many individuals break up just like this? Oh, you didn't do this. We're taking a break. We're taking a break. But then only to come back together, right? When it was not truly breaking up that they wanted, it was just the frustration that was building, all right? But if we could have confirmed our heart's desire and said, you know what? No, I want you. I want you in my life, and that's part of my desire, okay? So again, find out your heart's desire. That's step 1. Step 2, when you are going into this communication, I want you to think, what is the outcome you actually want? Okay? You know, how many individuals are just, they come into an argument or trying to communicate with their partner, and they just have wells of frustration just built up from over and over and over again of communications that were miscommunicated and so forth. So they come into an argument going, you did this, you did that, you did this, you did that, and so forth. And it's just like, but it leads nowhere, because we can only point the finger, but we can't fill in the gaps. We can't fill in the circumstances for understanding, right? So again, what is the outcome you want? So if for example, if I'm going to go through, if I'm having a disagreement with Lipa, what I'm going to do is I'm going to sit down and just be like, okay, he is everything I want in a partner. I love his humor. I love his personality. I love his heart. I love what he does for other people. I love his perspective, his frequency. I love everything about him. Okay? So he is my desire. Now, what is the outcome I want? Well, I want understanding. I want him to understand why I'm feeling this way. All right? So now, because I understand what it is I want, that is my goal. So when I am entering into the conversation, I will always have in the back of my mind that my goal here is understanding, not to accuse, not to, drag him through the mud or anything, but for understanding. Okay? And we've got a comment here. So, Joseph, being mentally abused can be just as bad as words or physical abuse, gaslighting. If you have been cheated on and know, but she will never tell the truth, she uses your weakness to justify her faults. Now, here, see, Joseph, with that one, though, right? Mental abuse, I think mental abuse comes from the verbal or the physical, or both put together, to be honest with you. That's where I believe that comes from. Because if you are communicating ineffectively with your partner, and her words or her actions, whether they be in the verbal or the physical, result in your mental being affected, because that's basically what it is whenever we're communicating, right? Then it is just a bad. So as you're saying, if you have an individual who is abusive to you mentally because they are manipulative or so forth, again, you just have to decide whether it is you want to stay in there. Now, if we're talking about being cheated on and so forth, I do have a different perspective of that. Because personally, my perspective is, if you've entered into a relationship where you truly love an individual and they truly love you, and then there is an infidelity, it is because there was a lack of clear communication, right? Because just think, when you enter into a relationship, your mind is just about this individual. Your desire is just about this individual, right? And it's just like, wow, when you enter into this relationship, your focus is not on anybody else, right? Your focus is just on this individual. So there had to be a point in time where there was a breakdown in communication as to what it is you both wanted, right? Whether if she was cheating on you, why didn't she communicate her unhappiness to you? Did she try to communicate her unhappiness to you? Did you see her unhappiness and didn't do it? Or perhaps she didn't see your unhappiness. She didn't see how unhappy you were, and she didn't communicate with you. And because she didn't see your unhappiness, she took you for granted. Right? And she took you for granted, and so she's just like, well, I'm going to find somebody else that's going to fulfill me. But you're probably sitting there like, look, I was going through a really shitty time. All you needed to do was tell me. All you needed to do was have some compassion for me, right? So there's a lot of different factors when my perspective on infidelity anyway. But once the infidelity has been done, if we go to the root cause of the infidelity, we can kind of then work our way from there, right? If you've sorted out the root cause, then there should be no infidelity. right? Because again, when you have your heart's desire for an individual and there is clear communication between two people and they are making love to their hearts, there literally isn't a desire to go elsewhere because there is a connection. So again, if there is a lack of connection in your hearts and it is just simply the physical, then that is something that we need to work on in terms of the connection rather than like, oh, the physical elements of it, right? So same thing, breakdown in communication. That's my perspective on it, but I can go deeper into that in another video. So going back to my points here. So we went through number 1, what is your heart's desire? Know what it is that you truly want. 2, what is the outcome that you want? Okay, the example I'm giving with Kulipup is I want Kulipup to understand me. So that is my outcome. Not for me to just vent, not for me to do it. Like, this is my purpose, this is my goal. Step number 3, okay? Recognize, once you've understand what it is you want in the outcome, you need to look at the situation that has caused this unhappiness, okay? Where has this discontentment come from? And you need to notice, when did it change? When did the shift happen, okay? And you need to get to the root cause of it. So, for example, if I'm unhappy because Kulipup is coming in from work or something like that, and he's just upset, right? He's just genuinely upset all the time, and his energy is just draining, and he's just, and he makes me frustrated because his energy is so turbulent, right? So I need to then go back and just be like, when did this happen? Did it happen just last week? Where I really started to feel it because he's been coming in like this all week? Or did this actually happen months ago? Or did it happen years ago? Have I been feeling this way for years and just covering it up? Or has it truly been only this past week? Okay? You have to find the root cause as to when it happened. Because if I'm going to be basing this argument, let's say it's just the last week that he's come in and he's been all, right? I'll come in here and I'll be like, well, you've been making me feel this way for the past week. But I'm not truly clearing it all out because I'm not going to the root cause. I need to say, well, no, I looked at it. And it first started when you started this job, right? You started this job, you started working far too many hours, and I noticed the change then, right? And slowly this is what is building. So again, go to the root. You have to start at the root. If you start anywhere else, you're not quite finished, and the energy's still going to be there because it still needs to be cleared. So Joseph, true, but if she only told me the truth, I would have worked it out. Knowing her lie, it has caused me to lose trust. Sorry, I'll keep my post till the end, thanks. No worries, Joseph. Thank you, sweetheart. But that's what I'm saying, though, sweetie, right? There's a breakdown in communication. If she would have told you the truth, you could have changed, but there was something in her that didn't want to tell you the truth. Something in her didn't want to tell you the truth. Now, that could just be because she needed healing in herself. And if that's the case, you can either say, oh, well, I'm going to stick with you and I'm going to help you heal because I recognize the situation. Or you could just be like, you know what? Not for me, right? Not for me. And move forward. But either way, it's hard to hold these things on. But yes, please post at the end because we can totally go through all of the bits and pieces. Thank you, sweetie. Okay. So that is number 3, finding the root cause. When did this happen? When did the change happen? Okay? Because there is always a change. You don't just go, I love you too, I hate you. There is a shift. It takes a little bit of time for the feelings to start to manifest and build. So going on to number 4. And sorry, let me just... come on, you. I am getting rid of an ad. Okay, sorry about that. I'm listening to some jazz piano. I'm like, no, I want my piano. Okay, number 4. This is where you are now looking at What were the circumstances that caused the change in the first place? Now, you need to look whether it was an internal circumstance, or was it an external circumstance? So what do I mean by that? Well, I'm giving the lip up analogy here. So let's say this all started when he got a different job, and now he started to be a little bit less compassionate, and he was kind of marching around the house in a foul mood, right? So I'm now going to look at the circumstance. Now he's marching around the house in a foul mood. Is this because of me? And I'm going to then look at my behavior and just be like, is there something I'm doing that's causing this foul mood? Because we have to be mindful of our own actions. A lot of the times everybody believes that, no, I'm perfect. I'm being absolutely fantastic. I am the best partner ever. There is nothing I'm doing wrong. When really, you have to remember that, no, you're probably not doing anything wrong, but you are still two people coming together and living together or sharing your lives together. And there are definitely times when we do things that will annoy each other, that will cause each other some discomfort. But we have to be mindful of them, and then we have to see if this is something that we actually want to change or not. But still, we have to be mindful. So this is what I do. If I'm ever there, firstly, I look at my behavior first, and I'll be like, well, I'll do my checklist. Was I snappy at any point? Was I inconsiderate at any point? Was I not compassionate at any point? Do I not consider his feelings? And I'll ask myself these things. If I cannot come to a conclusion like no, I've been compassionate, I've been kind, I've been caring, I've done what I believe that I can do from my end. I don't believe I've done anything that caused any friction. So then I'm going to look at the outside circumstances. Well, he started this job. He started working, and the hours were crazy. His back started hurting. His body started to wear down. He's working with materials that may not be very healthy for him. His sleep pattern is kind of messed up. So I'm like, and then what I do is I would put myself in those circumstances and just be like, if I went to a place that contradicted my sleep, I was around people I didn't want to be around, I was working with materials that weren't healthy for me, and my body was deteriorating because of it, then I can kind of get an understanding that, he's coming in with a foul mood, but it's not because of me, it's because of the outside circumstance. So then how can we change this circumstance? But anyway, you just want to be aware of the circumstance and how you would feel in that same kind of circumstance. Hi, Michelle, sweetheart. Okay. Step number 5. Okay. You now need to identify, because we now know where the root cause is, what the circumstances was, we know what the problem is and how it came about. So now this is getting into more of the conversational part, okay? I want you to then set your limits, okay? What you stand for, what you're willing to do versus what you're not willing to do, all right? And this is really, really important. Because oftentimes when individuals are in a relationship, they will give up their entire selves to this other individual. And we have to remember that it's a partnership. It's not a dictatorship, right? No one individual should be giving up their entire selves for a relationship. You are a person in your own right. You are an individual with your own wants, your own desires, your own needs, and you need what you need for yourself to be happy. And there is no reason why you should ever give up your own happiness and your own self for another individual. Okay? They should love you for your individuality, for you loving and doing other things elsewhere, right? Because you come together to share your lives, not be each other's lives, if you get what I mean in that one. All right? So please stand for whatever it is that you believe in and don't go on. And be realistic as well. So for example, if you're actually having an argument because of, your partner doesn't help out around the house enough, right? Just doesn't help out around the house. And, well, make a stand and just be like, you know what? I need time for myself. I cannot take care of this entire house and all of these children by myself. It is not reasonable. So, to make this better, these are the things that I'm willing to do. I'm willing to do this, that, and that, or whatever is comfortable with you. But I am not willing to be a complete and entire workhorse, right? So you have to, sorry, I hope that example or analogy was all right for you. But you just have to figure out like what it is, what are you willing to do and what are you not willing to do. And be honest and you know, try to be fair as well, right? Like I'll tell you, like my Kulipup, he will not clean a toilet. He germs and things, he gives him the heebie-jeebies because he's all about the physical body and health. So he has not ever, I asked him to clean a toilet once and there was just like blue shit all over the rim and everything because he's like, I didn't touch it, I just threw it. And I'm like, oh my Jesus, you know, Jesus me. So we came to an agreement. I'm like, okay, I will never ask you to clean a toilet, right? I will never ask you to clean a toilet if you don't ever ask me to do the laundry, because I hate doing the laundry, right? And he's just like, compromise, that's great, you know, that kind of thing, right? So figure out what it is that you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, because I'm not willing to do the toilets and do the laundry and do anything else, right? It has to be an equal bit. Susan, but can we change this when it's over the death of your son from over 28 years ago, so many years? Yes, Susan, yes you can, sweetheart. You definitely can, but that involves inner work. That involves inner work to understand yourself and to understand each other and the pain that was caused within each other, okay? Because if you're still having a breakdown in communication after so long, it is simply because it was not communicated correctly at the beginning, and that is a hard thing to go through. That is a really hard thing to go through. But it can be, you can move forward together through proper understanding. So please do try these steps. Try these steps and see how it works for you, sweetie. Alrighty, so what you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do. So now that goes to number 6, okay? Now we need to know, is the other person aware of the shift that happened? Awareness is key here. When you're trying to communicate with somebody, will they understand you? Will they be able to communicate back with you? Okay? Because if your goal is to gain understanding, or to have a resolution in this situation, they have to know what it is you're talking about in the first place. Now, and what I mean by that as well, are they aware of the shift? Like, are they aware of when you started to feel like rubbish? Or when they started to feel like rubbish? Are they aware of it? Or are they in denial of it? So have they noticed the shift, but they are just trying to deny it or not acknowledge it? Or are they simply oblivious to it, right? Is it denial, or are they just completely or exercising their ignorance of this and just like, what is it, right? So now if the individual is not aware of when the shift happened, then you actually need to go through steps 1 to 5, the discoveries that you made with them. You know, sit them down and just be like, hey, babes, I just want to talk a little bit about a relationship and the things that I observed lately. All right? If they're not aware. However, if they are aware, okay, then we can kind of move forward a little bit more. So if they are aware, we are going to proceed to step number 8. Step number 7 was, are they aware? Okay, well, let's proceed to number 8. So step number 8, you need to approach this conversation with calm and with ease, okay? So this is where we are preparing to actually have a discussion and actually speak, all right? So calm and ease. If you find that just the mere mention of this individual gets your blood starting to boil, then this is not the right time to have this conversation, okay? If you find that the mere sight of them, you are hurting so bad, you know, and just by looking at them, you're just like, nope, I want to go away. This is not the right time to have it, okay? The right time to have this conversation is literally when you are calm, when you are neutral, and when you are in a place of, no, this is a problem, we need to find the solution, and we need to have an action, all right? So calm, collective, and focused, all right? So focus on what it is. Now, And again, if you are not like this, then you need to wait until you are in an appropriate place to literally have a calm and easy conversation. Going on to number 9, you need to mentally prepare yourself to follow through on your purpose and your outcome, and stand firm on, of course, number 5, which was what your limits as to what you are going to do and what you're not going to do. Okay, so what do I mean by mentally prepare yourself for this conversation? Well, for one, if you're watching this video, you're no doubt going to go into this conversation very, very prepared, but your partner may not be very prepared. All right, you may go into the conversation and your partner may be following old patterns where they may start to be accusatory. They may start to, you know, kind of push your buttons where it is, right? But you kind of got to be like, okay, I know what's going to happen. I know what they're going to say. I know what they're going to say, or I can have a pretty good idea of what they're going to say, because you know what, they're your partner and you've no doubt had these conversations before, or these arguments before, right? So you're going to prepare yourself and just be like, okay, this is what normally happens, but I'm not going to do it this time, and I'm not going to get into an argument because I'm coming to this place, or to this conversation from a place of ease. I know some words are going to be flung around, but nope, I'm gonna let them bypass me, because we are again going towards our goal here. We are going towards what it is we actually want in the final outcome. But again, I'll just as a reminder, do not ever accept any physical or verbal abuse from the individual. If they do start to come out with you with verbal abuse and so forth, then you simply stop the conversation and you disengage. Okay? That's not to say that you are giving up on the conversation. That's simply saying you can say to them very calmly and with ease, just say like, I will not talk to you if you are disrespecting me. Simple as that. And you disengage. And if they're like coming at you with like, oh, you should do this, blah, 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 blah. What do you mean, blah, blah, blah? And you simply repeat yourself, I won't talk to you until you treat me with respect, or until you speak to me with respect. And you simply be silent. And you can allow them to calm themselves down, because if they truly want to come to the understanding, they will calm themselves down. But it is very, very difficult to keep a hot head when you've got somebody who is cool like water. You know, trying to engage with it. It's very difficult. Like, if you were yelling at me, but I simply sat here and just... It would be difficult for you to continue on with that rage, because I'm not feeding it, right? But again, standing firm on your on what it is you're willing to do and what you're not willing to do, because an individual may start to say like, well, you should do this, you should do that, kind of asking for a little bit more that you're not willing to do. But you just got to be like, you know what, babes, I understand what you're wanting, but I can't give that to you. This is what I can do. So let's find a compromise. Let's find, you know, a balance between us. All right. So standing firm. Number 10. Ensure your environment is calm as well, all right? You do not want to start this conversation if you are at home and you have small children running around, right? That's not going to be helpful. You don't want any distractions. You do not want to start this conversation when you're out in public, when there's a lot of people around you. You know how you see some couples like really start going at it and arguing in public, and you're just like, what are you doing? This is not an appropriate place, because for one, it's going to be hard for one of the parties or both of the parties to actually focus, because they're going to be worried about like who the hell is listening, right? And that takes away from the actual goal or purpose of communicating in the first place, and only again produces more, you know, angst, and produces more problems in the end. So you want to make sure that your environment is calm, and where you can literally have the time you need to go through what you need to do and express however you need to as well. So for example, if you know that you're an emotional individual and you're more likely to cry because of this topic, then please make sure you're starting this discussion in a place where you feel free crying, right? So that you don't have to run to a bathroom somewhere or to escape in any way. Right? You just want to be able to freely be yourself and cry and express your emotions there. I definitely recommend as well being in nature, because, you know, Lip Up and I, we don't really have a lot of arguments anymore. But what we do is when we are going through a period of disagreement or anything like that, or if we're not, our frequencies are not quite there, we go for inner work walks, right? So we will literally go for a walk, take a spliff, and we go through these steps, and we just talk, right? Because when we're out in nature, it's calming, it's soothing, it keeps us in the now moment, and there's no distractions to take our focus away from each other and the real core reasons as to what's happening. So, and again, that also goes to show that if you are entering into this conversation, you don't want to have, your phone sitting there, where you're checking your phone while your partner is trying to talk to you, or if your partner is trying to check their phone while you're trying to talk to them, then you need to be like, put that down, please, babes. This is important. You don't want the TV going where there could be distractions that will take their focus away. You don't want any, it's just you two. That's all that is required in that moment. So environment. Number 11, starting the conversation. Okay? So this is how I always find that whenever you're dealing with anybody who you are trying to express your discontentment with, all right, or express the things that you have discovered, right? First thing you need to do is you always need to start by being honest, okay? And saying why you are having this conversation in the first place, all right? Now, how we do this, I like to use the positive sandwich, all right? So we start with a positive, then we fill in the gap as to why we're having this conversation, and we end with a positive. So this is how we're going to break it in there. So I'll use Lip Up again. Like if Lip Up's coming in all like after work and he's got a bad vibe or anything like that, I would literally tell him at that point, I'd be like, babes, this is my positive sandwich. Positive first. Babes, I love you so much. You are my heart. You are my world. You are my best friend. You are my everything. You are my all. Then we can go with, I see that you are, and we're leading into the negative. I see that you are frustrated. You're going to tell them a little bit more about your observations. I see that you're frustrated when you come in from work. I see that your mood has changed. You used to be really happy, and now you're not so happy. Maybe your partner sits on the couch. They get in and they sit on the couch and they watch TV and it's not stimulating or something. It's like, you just tell them your observation. I see it, and I'm concerned for you. So now we go into the negative. Which is the root cause of the problem and so forth that you have discovered here. So then you'd be like, I noticed you're going back to number 4 and you're kind of working your way, you're working your way up from there. It's like, so you're going to tell them your heart's desires. That's the positive. Like, I see you, I love you, you are my heart's desire, and I just want the best for you and I want the best for us. What is it that you want out of this conversation? I'm talking to you today because I want to find a solution to this. I want to find a solution to the unhappiness that I'm feeling right now, right? I noticed, we're going to go on to step 3. I noticed the change happened when you started this new job, right? And then we're going to go on to step 4, which is the circumstances. And I realized that when you started this new job, you started to get more irritable. You started to come in feeling a little bit more angry. Now, you're going to go into your awareness. Now, I don't believe that has anything to do with me, because from my perspective, I've been kind, I've been courteous, I've been honest, I've been truthful. So I don't see if it was my actions that caused this. But I do definitely see, if going into the outside circumstances, I see what it's like to be in your shoes, and I know I would also be frustrated. So, how can we change this? Then we're going to lead up with the positive. Again, we're going to close with the positive. So, how can we change this? Because I want to get back to the place where I'm happy when you come home and you're happy when you come home. I want this home to be a place of refuge for you, to feel stress-free when you come in here, right? So what is it that we can do, final outcome, to get this changed? Is there anything I can do, right? Now, he may come back and say, well, you could do this, this, that, and that. Now, because I have gone through number 5 and I've realized what I stand for and what I'm willing to do and what I'm not willing to do, I can say, well, yes, I can definitely do this if it's going to help you. I can definitely do that if it's going to help you. I have no problem doing that if it's going to help you. But you asked me to do this, babe, I just can't do it. It's just not, I either just literally cannot do it or I don't want to do it because it's not going to make me happy. You wanted me to do this. I literally cannot do that. Because again, I either physically can't do it or I can't do it because it's going to make me unhappy, right? So again, you're standing firm with it, with what you want to do. Then they could, then what we are going to do is we are going to proceed, now that we've done our positive, negative, positive sandwich, we are then going to go into number 12. You are going to stop and you are going to listen without interrupting to their response, and you are going to observe. Whew, this is the hardest part for some people, to be honest with you, because how many times we're in a conversation or we're trying to communicate and we interrupt or we get interrupted because so many people are focusing more so on their response rather than listening to what it is the other individual had to say. Now, if you're like me, because I had an issue because I would forget a lot of things. Whenever I was going through a period, I would literally feel the emotions. I couldn't remember all the details. Like he'd lip up when I was asleep. He'd be like, "Well, what did I say?" And I'd be like, "I don't know what you said. I just know you said it and it hurt." Like, right? I know the general gist of it. And he would do the same thing. He would be like, "I know what it is. I just can't give you an example right now." So if that's the case, what I want you to do is, as they are speaking, I want you to be like, "Babe, I'm not trying to be cheeky, but I'm going to get a piece of paper and I'm going to get a pen and I'm just going to make some notes, okay? Because I'm listening to you, but I don't want to forget some of the things that you're saying. So please speak, and I'm just going to jot down a note just so I can remember the points so I can respond to them when you're finished, okay? So what this does is this ensures that you're not going to forget the points that you want to respond to as he's saying them, or as she's, or whoever your partner is saying them, but it also, ensures that they get to speak freely, right, without being interrupted, and they can get all of the things that they need off of their chest. Now, when they have finished, and you have to let them speak for as long as they want to speak. If they speak for only 5 seconds, that's fine. If they want to speak for a whole 5 minutes, that's fine. Show them the respect that they deserve and that they need as your partner, as the chosen individual that you chose to be with. Respect them as you would respect yourself, and just be like, "No, I will not interrupt you, and I will sit and I will listen until you are finished." Now, when you have done that and you've made your observations, you are then going to go into step number 13, okay, which is state your response, okay, but be gentle, be compassionate, be calm, and be kind, okay? Because remember, whenever you're going through this, when you're trying to find understanding with people, with your partner, it is not about hammering your belief into them, right? It's not about hammering that into them. It is simply about finding your overall goal of understanding of your feelings, all right? So very important. You need compassion. Compassion comes from mindfulness and observation, and using kindness to approach the situation as well, right? And being calm too. You don't want to get riled up, because again, your overall goal is to find the solution, not just to vent and bash. Now, if you find that you are getting heated up, right, and you're making notes and everything like that, and let's say the other individual is also getting heated up, stop and just be like, "You know what?" Or let's say you're getting a lot of accusatory things back, or a lot of blame and everything like that, and you're just like, "Whoa, this is not even what I signed up for. I'm trying to communicate effectively, and you're just like freaking ripping into me," right? Then I want you to just kindly stop the individual, and I want to say, and you want to ask them, "Babe, I just need to know, are you venting right now, or are you trying to communicate?" All right? And you got to let them know, it's like, it's fine. If you want to vent right now, please vent. Because then you are understanding that this person is just letting off steam. They're letting out all of this pent-up frustration and negative emotions. They're just letting it all go, right? So then you can be like, okay, and when they're finished venting, when that frustration is all out of them and that anger is out of them, then you can proceed on to the conversation, because they're going to, once the energy's out, they can have a clearer mind. And then you can go back into, you know, your other steps there to just be like, okay, let's retrace and let's find this again. So here's the problem, here's the solution that we want, and let's go forward from there. But again, calmness, compassion, and kindness. All right, and of course, at that point, you can go through your list in your response. You can be like, okay, when you said this, that, and the other, okay, I would like to respond to that now. And you simply take your time to respond. Now, what happens if your partner is constantly interrupting you, right? Well, you can simply say, babe, I showed you the respect and I didn't interrupt you. Can you do the same for me, please? Right? And simply as that. Now, if they continually interrupt you at that point, you can calmly say, I see that we're not ready to have this conversation yet. Maybe we'll try another time. And you can simply leave it for that moment. Right? Otherwise, normally, when you point out that you were courteous and kind enough to not interrupt that individual, it normally they're just like, okay, yes, you're absolutely right. Okay, please continue. Right? So, and you can always say that as well. It's like, would you also like a pen and paper to make notes? You know, this is all about learning. It's all about understanding each other to come to that deeper understanding so that you can move forward. Right? This is all a lesson. This is literally all a lesson, just as any other lesson in life. We don't want to repeat these lessons. And eventually you get to the point, right? If you can follow these steps and you can do them, consistently, you'll find that you never argue about the same thing again. What happens is you grow and you experience with life, and new things may come about because you grow as people and you're new people all the time. But you never really come back to the same issues. The same repetitive argument is no longer there, right? So literally, and that's what I love, because that's development. Every time Lip Up and I have a period of disagreement, I welcome it. I welcome it so that we can go through these steps ourselves. Because I know that after we go through this step, the only thing that's going to happen is growth between us as a couple. Is going to be development for us as individuals, right? And it's beautiful, and our relationship is strengthened, and we grow stronger, and our connection is just deeper because we went through the steps of having clear understanding and clear communication with a goal outlined. So those are my 13 steps with my do's and don'ts. Susan, fantastic idea. Thank you. Oh, you're very welcome, Sweet Pea. So I will open up the floor. If you guys got any questions or queries or anything that you want to put in based on the 13 steps that I said, or perhaps you have other steps or anything else that you believe should be added in here, then please mention it. Joseph, I will take this advice and use it in my next relationship. You are a beautiful soul. Thank you for your wisdom. Oh, bless you, Joseph. And please do. Please do. Because I tell you, sweetheart, whenever this comes about, whenever you don't have to wait for it to be a full-blown argument. You don't have to wait. As soon as you feel unhappy, as soon as you feel that there is a shift, address it immediately. And you'll find that it's just easy, right? How many times, as your partner said, you never pay any attention to me. You never pay any attention to me. I'm bored, I'm this and that. Like, you don't show me anything. It's kind of like, well, if your partner would have just mentioned it, or if you would have just mentioned this to your partner from the very first time it happened, your partner would have come back and said, like, oh, sorry, babes, what do you want to do? Because we all get stuck in our patterns. We all get stuck in life. And sometimes we just need that communication, that honest, clear communication just to move forward. And you'll find that a relationship isn't hard. It's joyous, it's beautiful, and it's not work, right? It's not work when you have understanding. It's just cool. You just shoot the shit with each other all the time and and giggle and laugh. But please, any other questions or queries? I would love to hear them and see if we can put this in here. because I'm not gonna lie, I've got like a chocolate bar on my well, it's a granola bar, but I'm like, chocolate. And I'll eat it. So anyway, please bring them on in. Well, I suppose while I'm waiting for any questions. Oh, Virgin, I will use this with my new relationship when I find him this year. It's good advice. Thank you. Oh, no, you're very welcome, sweetheart. I hope so. I hope so. But literally the whole positive sandwich thing, you know, and it's amazing. Because I tell you one thing, right? If you can approach a conversation, or if you can approach, if you're in a new relationship, as Virgin you may be in, Joseph, you may be in a new relationship, you approach like literally your first arguments or disagreements or anything like that with this kind of method, and your partner will be so appreciative of you. Because that kind of kindness and compassion and approach to understanding each other has seemed to be incredibly lost. So when you find an individual who can do that, when they find that in you, oh, just watch how your relationship soars. It's beautiful. Joseph, it's a crazy world. We just need to find the crazy in each other and love it for what it is. Exactly. The crazy being the truth and understanding, I hope. Oh, that's what I hope. And it's beautiful. But this is another way to make love to your partner, right? It's another way to make love to your partner. Because by showing that kindness, by showing that compassion, by showing that understanding, that is love in itself, right? And it strengthens. Joseph, are you really hitting on Virgin? But you never know. Maybe a lovely love will come out of it. Who knows? Alrighty, sweethearts. Well, I suppose if I have no other questions or queries, I'm going to let you guys go for tonight, and hopefully let some other individuals catch this from the beginning if they missed it. Just letting everybody know, as of tomorrow is going to be my last day where I'm going to be doing some lives on Facebook. Afterwards, for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to be focusing primarily on YouTube and just doing lessons on there and sharing the links, only because it is the holiday period and I am going to be with my family primarily, and so I'm going to be kind of shutting off from Facebook and just doing some lessons here or there on YouTube. But you'll hear more from Kulipup as well, which will be really nice to go through. And I think I'm going to do a little bit of private readings and so forth over the Christmas period, but I've got something special for you on those ones. So, all right, that is it from me anyway. I love you ever so much, and have a fantastic rest of your night, and hopefully have some great conversations with your partner and develop a deeper understanding and a deeper relationship. Bye, sweethearts.